to give you the information. All right, this is order of operations, and um, there we go. Order of operations. And operations, of course, meaning addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Now, let's say that you have a problem such as 7 plus 3 times 5. If you have, if you don't know your order of operations, you might just go through and say, oh, well, 7 plus 3 is 10. I'll do it over here. 7 plus 3 is 10. And then times 5 is 50. However, there is an order of operations. This is just something that we have decided as, again, as a culture, as a community, as a mathematicians everywhere have decided that there is a correct order that you should do these operations. Now, another way to solve this problem is to look at it and say, oh, well, there's 3 times 5 is 15, and then you add the 7 and you get 22. So there's 2 different answers here. And if you know your order of operations, how many of you, yes, I see a couple people already typing it in the chat, but are you talking about PEMDAS? And this is the correct order of operations. You got parentheses, okay, parentheses, and parentheses also means these here, or any type of grouping symbols. You might also see these called brackets, okay? So we have parentheses, we have exponents, and you guys just learned about exponents. You did very well on your test. Those are the little numbers up on the top right. And then you have multiplication. I'm gonna abbreviate though. Multiplication and division. I'm putting them together because I want you to know they have equal importance. They are fact families. Therefore, they are equal. Just like addition and subtraction are also equally important. But this is the correct order of operations that you should use. So if I'm looking at this problem that I gave you, our first problem here for today, I asked myself, are there any parentheses? No, there are not. There are no parentheses in this problem. How about any exponents? No, I do not see any exponents. Now I'm looking for multiplication or division. Sure enough, multiplication is the first thing I see. So I'm going to do the multiplication first. And because I have to do multiplication first, 3 times 5 is 15. That is going to make this answer correct because then you add or subtract. So then you take your 7 plus 15 to give you 22. That makes this answer completely wrong. All right. So if you don't know your correct order of solving problems or order of operations, then you may do these problems incorrectly. So I want to make sure that we follow, always follow this order of operations: parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide. They are of equal importance. I told my students last year, I said M and D, it's like mom and dad, dad and mom, they have equal importance. So because they are the fact family, you got to make sure you just, whichever one comes first, that's what you solve first in multiplication and division, or addition, subtraction, same thing. All right. Yes, thank you, Darius. I do appreciate that. Some people say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally to help him remember the order of operations. Darius says that Mr. Smo told him last year, pink elephants may destroy a school. So we could use either one of those. And if you like to make up your own little mnemonic device to make sure that you have this order of P, E, M, or D, and then A or S. So that is the correct order that you have to solve problems. Okay, now it's going to be your turn for a little bit. I'm going to scooch down my whiteboard here, and I'm going to give you a problem that I would like for you to try on your whiteboards. And again, you can chat me the answers, but on your whiteboards, I'm going to show you how I like you to solve these problems. I'm going to start off with a little bit easier and then work up to a little bit harder. Okay. 3 plus 9 times 10. 3 plus 9 times 10. We have a little basic here. A basic problem, just a little multiplication and addition. But my first question, of course, is what operation do you do first? What operation do you do first? And I have, there you go. We're going to do a little sign language today because sometimes, yes, sometimes I can see your camera really fast and it'll take me a second to see all your answers in chat. This might even be faster. All right, we're going to do some sign language. So just to make sure you have the sign language down, multiplication is just this. This looks like a multiplication sign. So yes, for every single one of you who already told me you want to multiply first, you are correct, of course, okay? But this is multiplication. Everybody show me, just show me in your camera real quick. Multiplication? All right, thank you very much. We also have division. So division usually has that dot on the top and the bottom of the division line. So this is division. So to divide, show me this sign, divide. And these are not real sign language. These are my sign language that I use for math. So divide, show me. Angie's frozen. Okay. Add, of course, is like cheerleader arm. She got and a plus sign, nice plus sign there. And of course, you have an addition or subtraction sign. So just your arm going straight across. Vincent, no, stop spamming my chat, and it's the incorrect answer. So subtraction. So my question for you is multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. All right, we want to know what is, and I'm going to flip back over to my question now. What is the first thing that you do? Show me, show me, show me. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry your arm hurts now. Thank you very much. Yes, those of you who are doing the multiplication sign, of course, you are correct. And let's go 9 times 10. I always write the part that I'm solving first. 9 times 10, of course, is 90. And then you have to bring down the rest. I have not used the 3 or the addition sign. So 3 plus 90 is going to be the last part that you do. That's the last thing we have left. 93 is the correct answer. All right, very good. Let's do a couple more for practice, and then I'm going to take it up a notch. I'm going to make it, put a few more things in here for you. How about 3 plus 90 divided by 10? Okay, 3 plus 90 divided by 10. So far, show me what you do first. Thank you, Kendallin. Thank you for those of you giving me the symbols, sign language symbols. Thank you, Jaslyn, and oh yeah, thank you, Tiffany Mason. All right, fantastic, thank you. Yes, you do division first. Therefore, 90 divided by 10 is 9, and you bring down the rest. You have not used the 3 or the plus sign, but you have used the 90, the divided, and the 10. So 3 plus 9, of course, is 12. Okay, so nice little warm-up problems for you here so far. So far, so good. I'm gonna flip my whiteboard. There we go. Let's continue. I'm gonna take it up a notch and get a little bit more difficult. How about 3 times 9 plus 10 times 36 over 6? Huh, okay, taking it up a notch. Now we have a couple things that are going on here. What should you do first? I have some people who are looking at me like, what? Okay, got some multiplying. Okay, multiplication, division. Yes, you would multiply first. Thank you very much. I appreciate you showing me the symbols there, Angel and Lavisa and you guys there. All right, we have 3 times 9. So there's a multiplication problem because I don't see any parentheses. You always have to give it the quick check. No parentheses or brackets, no exponents. So we're moving right along with 9 times 3, the multiplication, of course. 9 times 3 is indeed 27. Okay, 27. Now, what comes next? Because now I still have not used plus 10 times 36 over 6. I haven't used the rest of that, so I'm just going to bring it straight down. What are you going to do next? Let's see. I have some people trying to give me the answer. I'm not asking for the answer. I'm asking what's next. Liliana, you have a good point. Some people are blowing up my chat, and I appreciate that. Multiplication is still next, but how do you multiply 10 times 36 over 6? Well, as we learned in fractions, 36 over 6 equals something. What is 36 over 6? Over, remember this line right here means the same thing as divide. What is 36 divided by 6? There you go. Yes, anytime you see this fraction, fraction means divide. Nathan, you have an extra 0 there, my friend. It's just 36 over 6, so that you can turn this into a 6, because 36 divided by 6 is 6. If you bring down the rest, 27 plus 10 times 6, okay, you're going to do which step next? I see, you can just show me real quick with your hands and I can see it. Yes, thank you very much. I'm flipping through here. I see lots of correct answers. You guys are saying multiply, multiply, multiply. Thank you, Lavisa. Thank you, Colin. Thank you for those of you who are participating. Here we go. 10 times 6, multiplication. 10 times 6 is indeed 60. And if you bring down the part you still have not used yet, 27 plus 60, the last part of our problem, this is the last thing, and then you have 87 total. 87 total. Okay, 27 plus 60 is 87. There we go. All right, let's do another one that's similar to this one, just so you get used to seeing the fraction. This fraction is like a division problem. Now, the reason I did division here first is because you need to know this number, this whole number, before you can multiply it. So this fraction is almost like a grouping symbol by itself. So grouping symbols, parentheses, brackets, or even a fraction like so that can be solved. All right. Let's go ahead and do one that's similar to this. And notice how I'm bringing everything down that I haven't used from the previous line. Okay, so please show your work. This time I'm going to give you a problem. Like I said, very similar to this one. 6 times 4 plus 2 times 9 over 3. There you go. And I'm going to have you go through the steps. Do it on your whiteboard. I want everyone to do this on your whiteboard so that you can show your work. Whiteboards, please. Okay, go ahead and take about 2 minutes, about 90 seconds or so to solve this one. Okay, please use your whiteboard. So when you're done, remember, show me the back of your whiteboard so I know you're finished with the problem and I can kind of see what your thoughts are here and I can see your work. Please and thank you. Thank you, Aubrey. I see the back of your whiteboard. All right. Thank you, guys. Oh, some people. I do a lot in my head. I'm going to encourage you to do this on your whiteboard and show all your work. You might think, oh, I can just do this in my head, but then there are so many steps. There are lots of places where you can get messed up or skip a step or make a mistake. And we want to prevent that. So that's why I ask you to show your work, okay? All right. Yes, still going. All right, about 30 more seconds. Thank you, Shinashi. Thank you, Rosie. Yes, I think you guys are catching on very quickly, very nicely. Okay. All right. There you go, Drake. I appreciate you. All right, folks. And those of you in the chat, I see that you have done, let's see if our answers match. Okay. All right, just to double check, follow along, make sure that our answers match. First, multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. And bring down the rest. Plus 2 times 9 over 3. Okay. Then I'm going to do 9 over 3 because I can't multiply this 2 by a fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and do 9 over 3, quick division. 9 divided by 3 is 3. I'm going to bring down the rest. 24 plus 2 times 3. And that next one is 2 times 3. 2 times 3, multiplication first. So there's a couple folks who tried to do the addition before the multiplication. 2 times 3 is 6. And then you have 24 plus, because you still haven't used this, so you bring it down. See how I'm bringing down all these symbols that I haven't used yet? Okay, I just bring them down until I solve it. 24 plus 6 is 30. Okay. All right, let's do a few more because that one didn't get quite as many correct answers as I'd hoped on that one. Let's do a couple more. Make some space here. All right, clean your whiteboards. Let's get you going on this next one. How about, again, another one that's similar to that one, 2 times 1 plus 2 times 24 over 4. Okay, go ahead, solve this one. I'll give you about a minute and a half. Hector, you are super fast, just saying. Thank you, Isabella. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Jaslyn. Thank you, Brooklyn. Eliana, try again, dear. Stephanie, good job. Mason, try again. Maria, Ashley, good job. Raya, good job. Josie, check again. Bella, good job. All right. Yes, Bethany, Kendallin, Shunashi, Angel. Oh, I'm seeing so many right answers. Kira, Alexis, you guys are getting the hang of it. This is going fairly well. Yes, now I'm getting a ton of right answers. All right, Aubrey, check again. All right, I'm gonna walk you through it. Now you should have your final answers. Yes, thank you, Emily, for sharing that with me. I'm looking at whiteboards, I'm looking at the chat. I'm just following to make sure that you are following along, getting the correct answers. I like to see all these right answers. 2 times 1 in this problem is 2. Bring down the rest because I haven't used the plus sign. Plus 2 times 24 over 4. Okay. The next step that I'm going to solve, 24 divided by 4 is 6. And bring down the rest. I still have 2 plus 2 times 6. Okay, next step, multiplication. 2 times 6 is 12. And bring down the rest. 2 plus 12 is 14. So yes, for all of you guys who got 14. Now my question though is, especially for people who typed it in the chat and didn't get 14, did you find your mistake? Did you find your mistake? That is the most important part, to figure out where your steps may have went wrong. Yes, oh good, Allison. Say, there we go. That's the important part. You learn from your mistakes. So hopefully you don't make the same mistake twice. Okay. I tell you, I have, see, we've been going here for a good half an hour. I think that we are getting fairly comfortable with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the Khan Academy assignment on this for today. I'm not going to do, I'm not going to include, put back on my face here. I am not going to include the parentheses or exponents yet, since we just finished exponents yesterday and took the test on that. I'm going to wait and make sure that we're very comfortable just using the multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. And I want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with that part. Oh, yes, no, I do have one more question I want to ask you, because there are some instances here. Yeah, I want to make sure we're good with this before we move on to the parentheses and the exponents. All right, there was a question such as this. Divided by 3 times 2. Now all we have is multiplication and division. Multiplication and division. There's no addition or subtraction. So the question is, what comes first? What comes first? Okay, go ahead and show me with your arms. Just give me the quick, what do you do first? Hector, yes, thank you, Hector. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Dre. Thank you, guys. Thank you for showing the multiplication sign first. Since we're only looking at multiplication and division, you simply solve this problem left to right, left to right. So the first thing you would solve is the multiplication on the left. 6 times 2 is 12, and bring down the rest. Divided by 3 and times 2, okay? And then you're going to continue from left to right, since it's all multiplication and division. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and bring down the rest. You haven't used times 2 yet. And then, of course, 4 times 2 is 8. So, Angie, I'm sorry you got kicked out. This was the problem that we did, just looking at if you have the same fact family all throughout the whole entire problem, multiplication, division, more multiplication, you just solve from left to right. Same kind of thing if you're doing addition and subtraction. So look at addition and subtraction, and then I'll assign your Khan Academy for today. How about 1 plus 2 minus 3 plus 4 minus 1? How about that one? Oh, there was a question in the chat. I'll go back to that question. Jaslyn, you had a very good question, and I'm going to share your question on this side. In the meantime, the reason why, and yes, you're correct, but addition and subtraction, these are all the same fact family, so they're equally important. They are equally important. Adding and subtracting, A and D, adding and subtracting, A, add, subtract. Some people are saying, oh, you have to do all the addition first because adding comes first. But watch, remember, please, parentheses, excuse is exponents. My dear is multiplication and division, but they are equally important. You could have D and then M, because multiplication and division are the same fact family. Therefore, they are equally important. It doesn't matter if you have multiplication first or division first. They are equal, just like addition and subtraction are equal. They are equally important. So when you come across a problem like this one, you simply go left to right. Same with multiplication and division. You just go left to right. So you solve left to right. 1 plus 2 is 3. Write the rest down. Minus 3 plus 4 minus 1. Continue with 3 minus 3 is 0, plus 4 minus 1. Well, 0 plus 4 is 4. And then you still haven't used minus 1 yet. So your final answer in this problem is 3. Okay. Yes, there was that question of why. Why do you not do the subtraction before addition? Because you go from left to right, just like how you read, okay? Just like how you read left to right. If they are equal symbols, adding and subtracting are equal because they're the same family, the same fact family. So since if they're equal, you simply solve left to right. Okay. All right. Wow, now I've been going for 35 minutes. So I'm going to pause my lesson here. I'm going to keep my chat open, but I am also going to assign your Khan Academy assignments for right now. You have some, now that we have our order of operations without exponents, I'm going to assign two lessons. One is the video. If you are still a little bit confused or need a little extra time to watch the lesson again, you can rewatch the video and then do the assignment. So the assignment, of course, everybody has to do your assignment. There are a few questions that you need to answer on Khan Academy. These do not have parentheses or exponents today. We're going to take it up another notch tomorrow and throw in some parentheses and some exponents. But for now, we're just going to get used to the order of multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Okay, so go ahead and do your Khan Academy assignment now. It should take you only a few minutes, maybe between 5 and 10 minutes. I want you to do it now. That way, if you have questions, you can ask me in the chat.
Day. Also, just a quick reminder for those of you at home. Yeah, break time is break time, but when just make sure you're getting assignments done. You know, kind of just keeping an eye on people, and people are wandering and doing some things that you know, when the work is not done, break happens when the work gets done. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So just keep that in mind as you are working. This whole operation requires a little more independence on your part, so make the most of it. All right, let's go ahead and get into today's lesson. So the code for today, I threw a lot at you yesterday, so we're gonna do some simplifying today. So I'm gonna backtrack, kind of review what we talked about yesterday, and then break that down into some smaller, hopefully more manageable pieces. So today's code, we'll go ahead and share this. And it is right here. RNFIVU. RNFIVU. So again, we're just going to review what we talked about yesterday, and then break it down a little more. There's a particular strategy that I want to review that I think will be helpful as far as the story structure for your comic is concerned. So again, we're sort of we're taking a look at 3-act structure, which most plays, movies, especially like dramatic writing, is most usually built is most usually built on hang on a second. I don't know if I'm muted or not. Okay, cool. But three-act structure created by Aristotle, an ancient Greek philosopher, among other things. But Aristotle was a very handy individual, and dramatic writers still use the structure that he created or was largely responsible for propagating, still use it today. So, but we're going to go ahead and talk about that right now. So let's go ahead and get started. So narrative writing. So we're putting together comics, or that's sort of where we're at right now. So before we start doing the panels and doing all the artwork and stuff, all the fun stuff, we need to make sure that that we have our story straight, because the story is the whole reason that we're there. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to the details of that. So yesterday we talked about, well, how do I tell a story? And this is what we know. We know that a story has a beginning, middle, and end. We know that. A story has a hook or a way of grabbing the reader's attention. Story also has a setting or where the story takes place. Story has characters. And we know that a story also has a problem and a solution. But then also a story has obstacles for the main character to overcome. So someone asked me earlier today, well, what is an obstacle? An obstacle is simply something that gets in the way of your main character's goal. So your main character is trying to accomplish something, and an obstacle is simply something that gets in the way of what your main character wants. So it's essentially a something for them to overcome. So we talked about the importance of somebody wanted but so. And as long as you have that, you have your basic story structure. You have your main character, you have the want, which I can't stress the wanted part enough. Your main character should have a goal, and they should be in urgent pursuit of that goal the whole time. The but is the problem, the so is the resolution to that problem. So we talked about even just doing a somebody wanted but so for your particular story, even though we've talked about it in a reading context, it works just as well, if not better, in a writing context, because the two are very much linked to one another. So if you can answer somebody wanted but so, you have the spine of your story. So what else did we talk about yesterday and earlier in the week? We talked about dialogue, or the words that your characters say. And dialogue serves two purposes. Number one, and probably most important, is just to move the story forward. So it's just not two people in a room talking about inconsequential stuff. Everything that comes out of their mouths is to move the story forward in some capacity. And then it's also to reveal character. A lot of the reasons that we tune into television programs, I think most especially television programs, stories that we come back to week after week or month after month, season after season, we become invested in characters. And that's what I find really interesting, is even though these characters are fictional, we sort of find these ways to bond with them and connect with them. And we see their flaws, we see their virtues. So we see, we just become invested in these characters. So, but the two main purposes of dialogue are simply to move the story forward and to reveal character. So we talked about that as well. So I'm going to go back into the comic that I started creating, and I'm doing this basically real time to show you that it's not a one draft with me. I'm making mistakes with my story, but the main thing is to recognize where the holes are. So again, I spend a lot of time talking about structure. And if you're working from a certain structure and you go back and it's much easier to identify where the holes are in your story. So we're going to talk, we're going to come back to the comic that I'm putting together, but I want to examine a couple of things before we do that. So yesterday I showed you this graphic organizer. It was your homework for yesterday. And there were a lot of questions, a lot of good questions, questions that I fully expected, because I knew that I threw a lot at you. And I don't mind doing that, because it prompts questions. And like I said, I got good questions, which means that there's a number of people who are out there thinking about it. And so when you're structuring your story, it's important to think goal, activity, complication. So we talked about all of these steps, and your character has a want or a goal. They're doing something, and then there's a complication or there's an obstacle. So that's what I want to take a look at right now. So it's goal, activity, complication. So, and this is also a roadmap to sort of keep your story on track. So when we talk about a goal, what is the goal? Well, it's just simply what your main character wants. So if you've done your somebody wanted but so for the overall story arc, you know exactly what your main character wants. The activity is what your character does. And the complication is what gets in your main character's way. So you have a goal, and it could be to get out from behind a computer, if you're me, right? The activity, I just take my computer and I throw it out the window. The complication is, well, then suddenly I have a bunch of students who aren't getting all of this wonderful information. So, but it's a goal, it's an activity, it's a complication. So let's break that down a little bit further. So let's talk about The Wizard of Oz for a moment. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's an old movie. I believe it came out in 1939. And this was a movie that I remember watching around this time of year, every year. And the flying monkeys, of course, freak people out. And it's if you haven't seen it, it's a wonderful film. It's a movie classic. But early in this story, this is what's called the first sequence of a movie. So a little bit of useless background that no one will remember. Movies, when they first started, were filmed on film, celluloid. So everything is done digitally now. But before, movies would come on these big reels that they would have to shoot, they would have to develop. And the reels were, when they were shown in movie houses, reels were just about 15 minutes long. So projectionists who worked in these movie houses would have to switch out these reels several times throughout the movie. So the movie, when you were sitting in the theater, looked uninterrupted. Well, screenwriters were very aware of the medium and how that worked. So screenwriters would essentially write 15-minute sequences that would fit onto these reels, or they sort of kept that in mind as they were doing it. So instead of one huge movie, screenwriters would write 8 little movies that became one. So each sequence had its own goal, activity, complication, and that was sort of how screenwriters in the early part of the 20th century, for quite a while, until things went digital, until but that's how they went about writing their movies. And screenwriters still, even though movies, or most movies, aren't shot on film, they still write the same way. So this is the first sequence for The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy, the goal is Dorothy wants to get away from Ms. Gulch. And if you haven't seen the movie, Ms. Gulch is sort of this socialite neighbor. She's very prim and proper. And Dorothy's dog bites Miss Gulch, and so Miss Gulch wants Toto, Dorothy's dog, destroyed. And so Dorothy obviously doesn't want that to happen. So what does she do? Well, she runs away from home with Toto because she doesn't want to see Toto destroyed, especially by Mrs. Gulch's hand, or she would have someone do it. Well, the complication is after Dorothy runs away from home, a fortune teller reveals that Aunt Em is sick with worry, and so Dorothy rushes home. And this is what I want to take a look at now. So Dorothy gets home, and then so that starts the second sequence. So Dorothy wants to get home to Aunt Em. Well, the activity is Dorothy gets caught in a twister, and she's forced to take refuge in the house. So let's take a look at this scene real quickly. And so you can see, so this is the activity for the second act. So the Ms. Gulch is threatened to kill Toto. Dorothy runs away from home from Toto. She goes to see this fortune teller, and the fortune teller tells Dorothy, well, your Aunt Em is she's just sick with worry, and this freaks Dorothy out, and she gets caught in a twist. So I'll try to turn this.
Oh, I've got to go home right away.
But what's this? I thought you were going along with me.
Oh, no, I have to get to her right away.
Huh?
Come on, Toto. Come on. Goodbye, Professor Marvel, and thanks a lot.
Better get under cover, Sylvester. There's a storm blowing up above us. To speak in the vernacular of the peasantry. Poor little kid. I hope she gets home all right. Get that horse again. Victory! Victory! It's a twister. It's a twister. Everybody understands you.
All right.
Writing's
So-
not that easy, but
Oh,
Grammarly.
yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right. Okay, so so Dorothy wants to get back to Aunt Em. The activity is Dorothy gets caught in a twister, so she's forced to take refuge in the house. And the complication, which we'll take a look at tomorrow, the house lands in Oz, killing an evil witch and turning her sister, the Wicked Witch of the West, into a mortal enemy. So you can see how there was a goal, and then an activity, and then a complication. And even as Dorothy got to the house, you saw these little mini complications. So she tries to get into the storm shelter. She can't get in. She can't find her Aunt Em. And then so she has to go back into the house. The doors, the windows are flying off, and she ends up being knocked unconscious. And then but goal, activity, complication. So that's really what you want to be thinking as you're putting together your stories. So we're gonna take a look at the comic that I'm putting together. You know, again, just sort of real time. I'm not spending a lot of time on my own doing this because I want to sort of show you some of the problems that you'll have when you're putting your story together, the questions that you'll have, and then just working through those. So again, 3-act structure: Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 is your main character climbing up a tree, and that's where we started yesterday. So once upon a time, there was a young Egyptian boy who is very secretive. When his sister is abducted, he visited a scribe in Alexandria. Unfortunately, he gets captured by some of Pharaoh's soldiers. So he decided to escape and had to find his sister. So that's where we were at yesterday. And then, so today we're talking about, so to take a step back, the steps between Act 1 and Act 2. So your first act of your story to your second act. At the end of the first act, usually your main character is entering a new world, literally the upside down. For those of you who have seen Stranger Things, it's pretty funny. Like I have friends, like writer friends, and we all laugh. It's like, well, it's pretty obvious that the upside down is the second act of the story. So you have sort of your ordinary world, and then your main character starts his or her journey in a new world at the beginning of the second act. So in order to take this action, the young Egyptian boy decided to escape while being transported to a slave camp. So he gets captured by Pharaoh's soldiers, and then he's being transported to a slave camp. Unfortunately, so he escapes. Unfortunately, Pharaoh's soldiers go to the young boy's home and arrest his parents. Now he had to go back and free his parents or risk them being killed or enslaved. So he escapes, but after he escapes, the Pharaoh sends soldiers to his parents' house and they arrest his parents. And so now he has to go back and figure out a way to free them. So that's where my story is at this point. So where to go? Here we go. So this is where I'm at. My name is Safir. Of course, we're going to rename him, and I'm being hunted, but revenge will be mine. It all started one day at our home along the Nile River. My sister and I were arguing about chores. You get the water today, it's your turn. Or maybe it's my turn to tell mom and dad about your boyfriend. Okay, but you owe me. So sister goes out for water, never returns. So I searched all day and all night, and she was nowhere to be found. I couldn't bear to tell my parents, so I decided to find help where I could. There was a scribe who loved the tunics my father wove and sold at the marketplace. Scribe, I need your help. Surely your father is a good man. What can I do for you? I think some of Pharaoh's soldiers kidnapped my sister. I need to find her. So again, yesterday I said that I'm missing a panel. Like there needs to be a clue that that Safir can see, or there needs to be that moment where Safir gets information that he thinks she was kidnapped by Pharaoh's soldiers. So that is a very serious accusation. You could be enslaved or killed for even mentioning such a thing. Okay, and then that's where I stopped, and then I picked it up with this right here. So this is a stretch of the story that I need to like. There has to be an obstacle for Safir to overcome, and I thought, well, maybe the scribe wants to charge him some silver pieces for information or something along those lines, but I'm not sold on that yet. But what does happen is this Egyptian soldier overhears the conversation that Safir has with the scribe. And so this character right here is called a vizier. And a vizier, and you can see it right here, is sort of an advisor to the pharaoh. So that's certainly a social studies vocabulary term. So vizier is just a special advisor, probably the pharaoh's closest advisor. And a pharaoh, of course, was like a king or queen, like the monarch of during ancient Egyptian times. So I'm sorry for disturbing you, but there's something you need to know, vizier. Make it quick, I must attend to the pharaoh. There is a young boy, I'm missing a word there. See, that's why you read these things aloud. His father sells tunics here at the marketplace, hardly a crime. I overheard the young boy speaking with the scribe. The boy thinks the pharaoh has taken his sister and they are plotting to kill the pharaoh. Now, obviously, as a reader, you know, well, wait a minute, Safir didn't say anything along those lines. So clearly this soldier is up to something. Do we know what yet? No, we don't. That type of insolence can't be tolerated. Do we know where the father lives? We do, vizier, but the boy is meeting the scribe here tomorrow night. Maybe there are more people involved. Perhaps we should wait. Tell no one about this meeting. Arrest and jail them immediately after the meeting. Report only to me when it's done. So that is where that's where I left it. So if I go back here, now I know that this right here, I'm sort of in the middle. I'm still in the middle of Act 1. So I'm getting to the point where the next part of the story, I'm going to deal with the unfortunately. Unfortunately, he gets captured by some of Pharaoh's soldiers. So he decides to escape and find his sister. So he knows that he still needs to find his sister, and he's committed to doing that. And he's got to escape from Pharaoh's soldiers. So, but it's okay. Like there's going to be those little things that I have to figure out, but the spine of my story is there. So goal, activity, complication. So if I'm looking at it from that perspective, let's do this. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to go into the nah, goal activity complication. Goal activity complication. All right. It is 10 o'clock. We got 10 more minutes here, and then we'll take a break until 10:20. So let's do this. So the scribe, we have to, the goal, the young boy wants to meet with the scribe. Okay. So that's the goal. That's what he wants to do. Activity. A secret meeting. So the young boy must travel from his home and meet secretly with the scribe. So the complication. So I'm going to go into the chat. So we know that that he wants to meet with the scribe because he's looking for information. He wants to know, did the soldiers, did they take my sister? Did they not take my sister? So he's got to travel from home, and he's got to meet with the scribe. So what's the complication here, or what could a complication be? So I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. And I could use your help here. So the young boy wants to meet with the scribe to get information on the whereabouts of his sister. So he travels from home, and he's got this secret meeting arranged with the scribe. What's the complication? So for instance, a goal for me is like, and this is true to life, I need to go to the store, right? I need food. So I need food for my house. So the activity is I have to go to the store. What's the complication? The complication, it could be a twister. It could be construction on the highway. It could be that the store is closed because of COVID-19. So there's all types of different things that could create complication. So I'll keep an eye on the chat. The young boy wants to meet with the scribe to find the, well, actually, the young boy wants to, really wants to find his sister and meet secretly with the scribe to find information about his sister's whereabouts. So what's the complication? We know that the soldier overheard the conversation, and but what's the complication? And there's a pretty obvious one, but I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. So. All right. Okay, the soldier follows him. Okay. Okay, her and the boyfriend ran off together. And he's going to arrest Fear. Yes. Yeah, the soldiers catch them and then capture the young boy. Mm-hmm. Okay, good, 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 good. Pharaoh's, so Pharaoh's soldiers. Come on. Okay, so the soldiers are already there. The soldier overheard the conversation. So they're just waiting for them to finish their meeting, just to sort of listen and finish, and then and arrest him following the meeting. Okay, so that's what puts him in the pokey. That's what puts him in the clinker. All right, cool. So I had a goal. The young boy wants to find his sister. So he must travel from his home and meet secretly with the scribe to find information, hopefully about his sister's whereabouts. But unfortunately, the soldiers are waiting for him and arrest him following his meeting with the scribe. Okay, so cool. I've got the next section of my story ready to go. And here's the cool thing about goal, activity, complication. So goal. What do you think? What do you think the main character's goal is going to be now? To escape prison. Activity, complication. So activity, sneak away when the guard, and I'm just using this as an example. Sneak away when the guards aren't looking. Now, obviously, I will want to do something that could be seriously lame if I let it. So he's got to, I want him. He's secretive, but he's also smart. So I want him to escape in really a cool way, a clever way. So he sneaks away when the guards aren't looking. And then, of course, the complication, which we've already talked about, is soldiers go to his home and arrest his parents. So cool, I'm free, I'm clear, I'm out of prison, yay me. Uh-oh, the soldiers gone to my parents' house and arrested them. Now I got to bail them out of jail or figure out a way to save them. So again, here's another cool part. So that complication creates a new goal. So the new goal, to free his parents from prison. Activity, complicate. Why do you keep doing that? Activity, complication. So let's say that that he frees his parents, and they're on the run. And right as they're all gathered up and they're ready to go, they somehow find out where the sister is at. So they have to stick around and try to like find her or make contact with her. But the cool part is, and this is key to this whole like presentation, everything that we're doing today, is sort of the link between complication and goal. Okay, so complications create new character wants or goals. This right here, this is huge. If you understand this one concept, you are in great shape. So complications, because it's like, well, what does my character do next? Well, once there's a complication, that complication is going to create a new goal. And then it just keeps going from there. So complications or obstacles create new goals for your main character. So tonight you are going to do this section of your story. So this was the one that we did yesterday, and this is the one that you're going to do tonight. So it's the first half of the second act. And again, as long as you're thinking goal, activity, complication, you'll be fine. And then your story is just going to be a loop of character, or goal, activity, complication. Complication creates a new goal, and then you just keep going from there. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. And then Act 3 we'll do later this week and early next week. Okay, so we've got a minute remaining, and then we'll take a break. I'll give you till 10:25, and then we'll come back at 10:25 for Mr. Mullen's reading lesson, if that's okay. And then, so 1 minute, just tell me what you feel is the most important thing from today's lesson. So take a minute, and we're good to go. So 1 minute. What's the most important thing from today's lesson? Just give me a sentence. It's the most important thing from today's lesson. Sorry, y'all, did a lot of yapping today, but hopefully that will help you structure your stories a little bit better. But goal, activity, complication. If you understand that one concept, it's going to make your story flow much better. Okay. Oh, cool, 84 people today. So 50 people not in on the presentation. Cool, awesome. So yeah, just give me a sentence, just 1 minute. I don't want you to go real crazy on it, but what's the most important thing from today's lesson? Once you've done that, you can go ahead and for the 84 of you who are here, there's 40 of you already on break, so good for you. Those of you who are here and answering these questions, once you take a moment just to write that sentence, you are free to do what you want to do until 10:25. Okay, so it'll give you about a 12-minute break. All right, cool. I'm going to stop sharing. Make sure you share those responses. I'm curious to see
some of our strategies. We're going to look again at what narrative is, and at the same time, we're going to just practice developing our vocabulary skills. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And here we go. Again, we're talking about that story, a family structure. This will be the last day that we have of this one. And we're going to start reading right away. I'm going to try to prompt you on using your strategies. Stop, think, predict. Okay, STP, stop, think, and paraphrase is another way we can use that. We're going to talk about explicit and inference. What is the text saying to us? And then we're also going to use our vocabulary where we use read around it and then substitute a word. So let's go. And we also look at the very end, somebody wanted but so. building on what Mr. Hartman has already taught us all this morning. So starting on page 18, and Allison's parents noticed a change in her. For years, they had dragged her out of bed in the morning so she wouldn't be late for school. Now, Allison was often the first one awake in the house and sometimes even the first student at school. She liked getting to school early so she could have the dark room to herself. Every night, Allison carefully set her camera next to her bed so it would be the first thing she saw when she woke up. Okay, stop. Let's think. And let's paraphrase, or let's look at the inference that's in here. Every night, Allison carefully set her camera next to her bed so it would be the first thing she saw when she woke up. When we make inferences, we are reading behind the lines. We're trying to read that which is being hinted at by the author. They don't say it explicitly. They don't say it plainly out loud so we can all know exactly what's in the mind of the author, but they give us hints about what's in the mind of the author. And this is one of those sentences. Every night, Allison carefully set her camera next to her bed so it would be the first thing she saw when she woke up. Why is this important? It's giving a clue about how Allison sees herself, or how Allison sees her life right at this moment. Many times the inferences are given to us so that we can see that which is psychologically behind much of the action. Let's go on to the next. Now that she'd stopped babysitting, Allison finally had time to hang out with her friends again. She had fun taking crazy pictures of them. They liked having a photographer friend around. Once in a while, she even caught them in a quiet moment. Allison was eating breakfast one morning when a newspaper ad caught her eye. First annual photo contest. Send us a photo that captures the meaning of family. The winning photo will be published on our front page. Allison wanted to win that contest. Ever since she had taken Mr. Gibbs' class, she had dreamed about becoming a famous newspaper photographer. What picture would truly capture her family? Then she smiled. She knew exactly what picture to take. That Sunday night, Allison took her camera to the dinner table and put it on her lap. She looked around and saw the usual family activity. Here it is, thought Allison, the photographer. This is my family. When no one was looking, she slipped away from the table. She hung over the balcony and looked over the camera lens. Here's a word I'm not sure that we often see, or some of us may not even know. Maybe we'd know. Maybe we have something like this at home as well. If so, you can make a connection. But balcony, what is a balcony? If we were to read this word, she hung over the balcony, and we didn't understand what it meant, what we could do is read around it. She hung over the balcony and looked through the camera lens. We can also look at the picture that is given to us, and we can see she's hanging over this structure, this balcony. That must be what balcony means. Oftentimes when we come to text, they will give us pictures, graphics that give us clues. Use them. She watched as the breeze blew the curtains in the window and the light outside began to fade. She watched one of the twins put mashed potatoes in his hair. She watched as her father helped her other brother cut up his meat. The moment felt right. This was her family. Allison pressed the shutter of her camera, then she quietly slipped back into her seat. She was so excited she could hardly finish her ice cream sundae. Allison ran all the way to school Monday morning. She developed the film and held it up towards the light. She held her breath as she looked. There it was, her family on a Sunday night, just as she'd seen them through her lens. Allison breathed a sigh of relief. Then before she could change her mind, she developed the photo and mailed it to the contest. The next few weeks were long ones for Allison. Classes seemed endless. Hanging out with her friends was fun, but even that time went by slowly. Finally, the day for the announcement of the winning photo arrived. Allison woke up early and bounded downstairs, hoping to be the first to see the newspaper. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop sharing that. But I want you to look at this word right here, bounded. Bounded. I want you to give me on your white boards a word that could be substituted for the word bounded. Okay? Write it and then hold it up for me to see. Bounded. Sprinted. Good. That's a good one. I think that's good. Rushed. Yes, good. Absolutely, Mason. Good guess. Good conclusion. Ran. Yeah, these are all words that work. Okay. Hurried. Quickly. Right. Rayla. Right, Isabella. Stomped. That's good too. You see, it's all has to do with the way she came downstairs. And so sprinted, Michael, good job. Those words are absolutely going to help you understand this. Her parents were already up. She found them staring at the front page of the paper. Good morning, said Allison as she walked around the table to peek at the paper. Allison, we're so proud of you, exclaimed her parents, hugging her. Now we understand why you worked so hard to buy that camera. You have a real gift. Allison could hardly believe it. Her photo was on the front page of the newspaper for thousands of people to see. She wondered if she might still be dreaming. Then she grinned. She hoped Mr. Gibb had seen the paper too. That Sunday night, Allison's parents cooked her favorite dinner, with chocolate pudding for dessert, of course. Then her mother suggested that Allison take another family photo. But for this picture, said her mother, will you use your timer? You need to be in the photo for our family to be complete. Okay, good story, very simple story. And now we have something that we're going to have to do, okay? And give me a second, guys. I'll have it. Mr. Mullen's slow with this stuff. There it is. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. This time I'm gonna go to Google Classroom and I'm gonna show you your assignment. Okay, a family picture writing. Okay, go ahead and click on it. you have two things that are attached to this. The first is a family picture, and it is, you bet, it's the story. Okay? And so you have that you can look back upon and you can read, and so you can can use that to help you fill in this somebody wanted but so. Okay? Now I've helped you with a structure. This is a paragraph frame, a frame of a paragraph. Sorry. In the beginning of our story, a family picture, we meet somebody. Who is the somebody? Well, what you're going to do, highlight it, delete it, and type it in. Okay? We meet somebody who wants, what do they want? What does the main character want? But she has a problem. So she comes up with a plan to do what? In the end, what happens? That's all I want you to do is to fill that in, okay? Fill it in. It's very, very simple. It should take you less than 15 minutes. You also have, as a resource, the book itself attached to this, okay? And we have about 15 minutes or 20 minutes for you to get that done, so you can do it right now. Let's go. Every third day of reading, we will do a writing. So let's get on it. Don't waste time. Get this done.